Notice to agent is notice to principal, and notice to principal says to agent. 4 weeks, not one lawful response to the counterclaim offer of Department of Works and Pensions. In the presumption, the living woman who is a target of direct discrimination in the United Kingdom constantly going on. 4 weeks now, and yet again, and not one response to require a review of a computer decision being made by the Department of Works and Pensions, its public servants in a company known as Capita Business Services Limited, head office in London, its area offices, call centres based in Darlington North, United Kingdom. There is no evidence of nor evidence of any additional reasonable adjustments. My additional evidence was sent on 23rd of the 10th, 2018, by the Tuesday. By the way, the individuals failed to scan the documentation in time before that female individual harassed me and caused me extreme, overwhelming psychological harm, alarm, distress on the 25th of the 10th, 2018 at 9:15 a.m. These public servants in my area, known as Northamptonshire County Council Limited Company, key head office CEO is Teresa Grant, and their area office employees, known as the Adult Health Social Care employees. A certain individual had the emails prior to that date, knowing full well the week before that this was going to happen, and the evidence was provided for them to assist me, as that individual had previously, to make various calls for me while going through this claim known as United Kingdom as the Care Act Statute Law 2014, knowing full well I'd be brought to offer goods and services and put me at a vulnerable risk to harm, alarm, distress yet again all this time on. Had I known that the presumption by certain men and women behind the scenes about my private life and character would be assassinated by their mates and their key Freemasons to target me unlawfully, then I wouldn't have bothered to make a claim. Had I known all this time on, these public servants in one's area would deliberately cause extreme harm, alarm, stress to thousands of others, not just I, United Kingdom, I would have never gone anywhere near public sector services at all. But one doesn't realise that the birth certificate is a Crown Corporation owned documentation, that you cannot use that unless you, as a man or woman of the living, flesh and blood, realise that we're living in an illusion world, even in the United Kingdom. And why do you think that the yellow men and women around the world in different parts of a sample of France and certain European countries are wearing the yellow jackets and outfits to create and cause a revolution or remedy of sorts? But they don't realise that the world is controlled by certain elites going back in history to the Rothschilds. This history and the knowledge is factual evidence if one cares and dares to research, but be aware, if you do stumble across information, you'll be on a target list. In ways in such a way of the target list, it does exist worldwide, by the way. If you dare go against so-called the illusion of such a government, now with the digital age, they're bringing in the facial recognition in the Met Police in London as I speak. It is a time for reflection to know who you really are as a man or woman, whatever sexuality you define yourself as an individual. You hold the power within your mind, body and soul, and so do I. I say, I will expose what I know. But I will always be honourable and lawful in my dealings, whoever I deal with, whether it's the ordinary man or woman at the frontline services, public sector or private limited companies, especially in my situation. When you survive attempting your life and you survive another deliberate targeting to block from goods and services, well then you realise what's really important in one's life. The dangerous effects on your health and safety to a point where your mental health and physical illnesses is put at risk, not by your doing or by your friends, and maybe not by your family, but those cuts in public sector services is by design. And then the state will come in and babysit you and say, oh my goodness me, you're at risk, and we need to do an adult safeguarding assessment on the individual, whether it's an adult or a child. Don't be disillusioned by the words in statute law that they imply, oh, I'm just doing my job. What happened in the war years ago, before my time, before I was born? Well, you only realise the old words years ago, I'm only just doing my job. What happened to George Orwell, the author of the book 1984? We are living in those times as we speak, and much more. Had I known the effect of the teachings of my late mum will brought me into fruition all these years on in my later life and second part of my life on this earth now, I didn't expect to become awakened up to knowledge of the fact of things I know now, or to become still on the watch list by the state system. I'm nobody special, I'm just me, just because I end up getting ill, and the effects of the big pharma, the industry, and to be on a watch list to create the illusion that I need to be babysit. The presumption of those that work in the adult health social care, in conjunction with what's known as state mental health. Where does that come from, you might say? The DSM manual has been around for years. Thousands of people around the world have been exposing the truth about what really is and what causes psychological harm, alarms, distress. And labels are not defining the man and woman. The labels are there in society for the sake of corporations. They need to make profit out the ordinary man and woman, whether or not you're working or unable to. Now the agenda for DWP, which is known as Department of Works and Pensions Limited Corporation, head office in Clacton House, and there's sub-area offices throughout UK known as Job Centre Pluses. They are all about control by the state of the heavy hand. What about the universal credit, the new statutory policies coming in by another so-called political party? If you didn't realise all these years on, one's research from many moons ago, they're just a corporation. If you didn't know the fact that the City of London has its own city within its city itself, and when you investigate how commerce works and business works, there is no such thing as money in supply. It's just numbers on a computer. Your energy, your own sweat equity and energy creates value. And that's what they're after, to create you, as I say, for the state and the elites, the 1% in this world. Very good people are able to get the information out more in defined ways than I can ever do. The IT system, computer technology and AI are much more advanced, more than I can imagine. It's here to stay, to turn the man and woman into computer system situation. But dare you speak out and you get classed as hallucinations or psychological disillusions, or might have an undiagnosed situation. You might need to have examination. Before you know it, you might get carted off into establishment where you'll not be seen or heard again. I thought we got rid of the Nazi era. They claimed that there was all these wars years ago, or those vulnerable, the elderly, disabled people, no fault of their own, they get ill and sick. Well, now they want to create what used to be known as workhouses. But in the modern area now, in 2018 plus, don't forget when you think you're celebrating the pagan ritual, so-called Christmas and Easter and all these holidays, it's like a conveyor belt, the life we live now, and carrying on and carrying on like it never ends. It's like a merry-go-round until you get off that merry-go-round and the roller coaster of life, and you look at life what really means in your own situation. Look around, wake up and realise the illusion of the world that we're living in. So you think, okay, unfortunately, why is there men and women and even families and children living on the streets and homeless around the world, not just in your own backyard, in your own towns or cities, wherever you may be? So informed decisions are key in how you look at your own situation. You might be so-called wealthy. You think you might have the nice car, the home, the latest gadgets or whatever it may be. And the latest really good job and your connections within your club and your Freemasons or whatever it might be. All politically connected, and you scratch my back and I scratch yours. Oh yes, that does exist, by the way. I've been there years ago. My background at PR, media, TV, radio years ago, the modern industry, many mix of background. I mix of all those individuals. It was a shallow life, by the way. I made sure I put my children first, but all these years on there, that's not really much of a gratitude now, but that's life, because they're caught up in the matrix system. It's not their fault, I don't blame anybody. I just know the system's built and designed to be like this. All one can do is exist. In your own limitations, maybe, because you might have complex disabilities, especially a situation like I. There will never ever be a remedy in my current situation unless they take over unlawfully the babysitting. The state see me as a commodity. I'm not a commodity to be pushed about into a pigeonhole or tick box exercise. None of us on this earth are designed that way. We're all made of flesh and blood, our inner spiritual soul, mind, body and soul, meant to be working together. The pressures on everybody on this earth in different ways you may not comprehend unless you go through personal situations. So I'll go to the point in hand. A previous report made by a professional male in his job role going back in 2006, the effects of what happened to me as a child. The child abused by the Mormon male who befriended my mother and abused myself as a young girl at 6 years of age. Then he went on to abuse my other sister and my other sister and my older brother and my other brother. We all kept it as a secret. To protect my loved one, my late mum. It wasn't her fault. The history in child abuse does go on. It's been going on for centuries, and dark side of life. I uncovered a lot, you see, by personal experiences and learning a lot more for good people out there around the world. I know a lot what goes on in my area. That's why they target me in ways I can ever speak about. I live too close to those, but I know who's involved in other areas. I can only deal with my situation because they deliberately stopped the disability living allowance. I did not fail to do anything. I'm always acting in honour and lawfully. I always will consider offer goods and services when it's a full disclosure, whether it's in contract law. But sometimes when your situation ends up and you end up losing your full physical, psychological health, and you end up in an emergency situation, you're in the state system in the hospital. They call it NHS in the United Kingdom. If it wasn't for my former daughter-in-law, who they no longer speak to me for whatever reason, hadn't seen me streaming, talking to her to see how her situation was with my lovely, beautiful granddaughter, I wouldn't be here today. So this is not directed at the frontline men and women just doing your job in your ordinary public sector services. I'm talking about the CEOs, the board of directors, those are shareholders, and all those claiming to be helping those vulnerable, disabled people, men and women. Think about it. when you get rejected offer a home visit or goods and services that you are not able to get out and about the way you'd like to anymore, you notice a pattern of events. You keep a journal, you might keep even a voice recording of events of a pattern that's carrying on. The similarities, too much of coincidence, one may say. But when you realise that you've done your honourable and due diligence, and you have provided conditioning under arrest, perhaps medical evidence to support the requirements to offer goods and services, and still these companies deliberately fail to offer the lawful due process. They're the ones, their employees, I think they're just doing a job because they're afraid to speak up and be a whistleblower because their jobs will be on the line and their lifestyles then might find themselves end up in a negative situation. My sister, you see, in 2002 thought she was going to be a poet and an artist. All those years ago, it wasn't her at all in that year. It was my older brother who covered everything up because my late mother, bless her heart, she was the one needed protected because of what she went through as a kid by my so-called gran. Well, it was her mother and it was my mother's grandparents, the grandfather and the mother that harmed my mum as a kid. So you see, I admire my mum, I admire what she tried to do for all of us young children growing up all these years from the south of United Kingdom, UK. And I'm making this video today because my life will soon be over. It won't be by my hand, by the way. It be by the state, the control system, because I dare be a free thinker and a free speaker, and all the information I know will be coming out now. I have nothing to fear. When you lose the fear of being a target individual unlawfully in many areas, you will soon find your empowerment within. So they can take away this bricks and mortar. They can take away all this so-called fiat currency numbers on computer. I still have my soul within me, and I will be in a better place one day. What they say, what goes around will come around. It definitely does. And does exist. I have experienced so much and recovered over the years in many areas I never thought I would. And this next phase of my life, I survived attempt on my life and repeated traumas and being run over and so much in one's life and situations to survive, to share my knowledge. I don't really give a monkeys that people will just think, oh, this is just disinformation. I don't need to prove nothing to nobody, but I know if you're not awakened to what's going around you and happening in the bigger picture, you will not be prepared with your spiritual inner soul, ever. I talk from first-hand experience. You see the pattern of events cut in public services. You see months and months delayed to get access to what you paid into the system. You think you're working and paying your taxes and doing the honourable thing. You think you're a system, you're a citizen, as they like to call it. Really? When you start to realise the honourable information about trust, equity law, and how since your life birth on this earth, you were born free. You were born with nothing, and when you pass out of this physical body, out of this earth, you will go out of your body with nothing. You might leave so-called assets behind on this physical earth to your loved ones or family members, but ever stop to think, when you get off that conveyor belt of life, where will you end up? Or are you too bothered or too stressed to care? Because you're struggling like thousands of people around the world. Just look at those that have nothing. and other third world countries. Look at the smile on the little children's faces and the innocent, beautiful nature in their hearts. So no matter what you are in a conventional religion or your own spiritual path in life, you will find your journey. It's taken me years. I was extremely shallow years ago, mixing all those so-called wealthy people I got to know. It didn't do me any good, but at least I learned a thing or two. I like to think so, at least. So to date, on Sunday, the 16th of the 12th, 2018, this so-called period of Christmas, New Year, I'm deliberately stopped from access to all goods and services I need to exist on this physical life with multiple complex disabilities. These labels do not define me, by the way, but I know they need a label to exist in their corporations with a profit-sharing board of directors. Doesn't matter what subject it is, it's all the same in many different kind of way. It all boils back to the same in the end. So whether you're dealing with public sector services, the police, the NHS, whatever it may be, the raise and the council taxes, whether it's the NHS state-funded services, think about it in history. Whatever happened to the human body? How did you survive without the mainstream NHS system before it was, well, it was effective in, well, going back in 1940 something? Look at your natural health, your natural food. What's happened to that all now? Is it GMO food? GOM? And what happened to the weather? Ever notice when you look up and notice something strange is going on? If you're unable to look up and you have other disabilities, have you ever heard, if you've got friends or family that are able to assist you in your personal care, for example, if you have disabilities in that way, do they notice the odd, strange weather? Or when you see the mainstream media, how the narrative on these main stories are usually the same. Well, you see, I have a history and training in PR and media many years ago, and when I suddenly realised over the years the good like-minded people sharing their knowledge, it's all the same a narrative. So what is news and what is life? The healing of the mind, body and soul is so important now than ever. How you react to things and situations is so imperative. How you treat another human individual, maybe you won't get on with your political different views and lifestyles. Doesn't matter. We're all born on this earth the same way, and we all go the same way. There's never a need for wars and division. We're all trying to survive on this complex world. There's no need for any division. The deliberate intention for certain powers, so to speak, in families back in history to the current date. Whatever your lifestyle, whatever your religion, whatever your political belief system, it's all by design. What's happening in reality more than ever than I could ever be alive to see. So I'm just one of thousands of trillions of people out there knowing this information. I'm just doing my own little thing to try to work with those may not be aware of certain subjects. So I'm extremely careful, knowing how dangerous it can be, the risk of my health and safety, let alone it's not done by me or nobody to me or my private life friends what they help me with. So what is the conclusion at the end of it all? It lies within yourself, your loved ones, your friends and family. Be aware of the reality, what target individual the subject really is about, and how that is been going on for centuries. If you do believe in any mainstream Christianity religion, whatever that may mean to you. I don't believe in my own family's way of doing things. They're entitled to their own way, as I said before, of beliefs. But I was raised the honourable way, the best way my mum could. In honour to my late mum Elizabeth, my heart will always be with her, and I will join her one day when it's my time. But I will not be pushed that way by those behind the scenes pushing buttons on a computer, making decisions what I fail to do, such and such, this, that and the other. My private medical data, that's all it's about, is collecting your information, your data, and your brain waves, data waves, patterns on a bloody satellite and a computer system. That sounds like a sci-fi movie, so far-fetched it's unreal. Well, when you find out the subject is real and other information is not about delusion or mental health issues at all, it's all, you can Google the patterns of this technology, look at the TESA, the scientific data. I'm no expert in anything to do with mending things in DIY, let alone electrical experiments, things like that. I just stumbled across things by good, honest, ordinary people that dare to stick their necks out and share their information. So whatever your situation is right now, take a stock, get off your TV, mainstream media. Have a thought for oneself, trust your gut instinct, because we're living in dangerous times. So such a way is not a war of ordinary such magnitude. It's a spiritual war for your soul. God bless, be with you, whatever you may be doing in your life. When you go to work tomorrow, or those that are not, and falls into that position and being sanctioned for benefits for goodness knows how long, because it's unlawful. They're tapping into that live birth record, birth certificate, trust bond, stop. If you don't realise that is just a slave state we are living in, and good people prepping and living off the grid, when you have the ability and have to do that, that is what your freedom is as a sovereign on this earth, especially in United Corporation, England. You might think, what the hell is she talking about? When you've been on the journey in life I have, and still going through, and you know you're entrapped into their state system, you just need to be aware, and be aware of your own little situation, whatever it may be. I know where I'm going to end up and what they want from me. I'm not afraid of this, you see. The thing is, the state system cannot take your soul away. They can put the fear into your heart, mind, body and soul. But remember this, no matter where you are in this world, you are unique. You were born to be unique. It's the indoctrination of the state, no matter where you are and what corporation you're living in. And don't even think for 1 minute this computer technology is not going to take over. For humanity's sake. While you still have a free thinking mind before it's taken over by the technology that's right in front of your face. You will always know deep in your heart, trust your gut instinct no matter what you do. So tomorrow will be another week and another week and another and another to draw down my inner spirit and drag me down to their way of doing things. I'm not afraid. Yes, it's hard, and yes, it's difficult to exist, but at least my mum taught me one thing, to persevere and make do with what you got, best way you're able to. Don't forget, you turn the blind eye away from those that have not got anything. It could be you one day, God forbid. You get outside your door into your car and next thing you're in a crash and you're not here anymore. Goodness me, you wouldn't want that, would you? Or your loved ones, your friends, your family. You don't know the time of day when your life's going to be taken away. I survived attempt my life for a reason. I survived multiple things for a reason. Yes, you might say, why am I saying this now about my late family? Well, so-called family members. Because they covered it up for years. I'm not here to open a can of worms. I'm here to say, forgive those that transgressed against you. Forgive those that still causing you harm. It is hard to forgive those that are still causing you pain and sorrow. It is hard to forgive those certain individuals that think they're just doing their job for the state to better the system. It is hard to forgive. You will never forget. The thing is to hold on for the trauma in your life, to hold on to your inner spiritual beliefs. So whether you are perhaps not spiritual, for example, I was like that, very skeptical. I've never been a poet, I just live life as it is. I'm always will do my best and always be in honour. So for you, those that like to play this video back and scoffers and mockers and whatever you may want to believe, you have a freedom of thought, freedom of will. We're born with that. It's indoctrination by the state. Be aware and do your research. And sometimes when you don't have fiat currency, your health and your well-being is so important. What is wealth? Is it just pieces of paper, coins in your pocket, numbers on a computer, in a bank? Think about the banking industry, how years ago they used to barter. What was the bartering system all about? You look how the banking industry was created many moons ago and look at it now. What is of value to your own situation? What is important? Because it is going to get much harder than you can imagine. So when it snows out there, when people that are housebound can't get out, and you got the elderly and the disabled people, for example, cannot heat or let alone eat, and unfortunately the state cuts and services, they're left to fend for themselves alone. No longer is there such a community of individuals in perhaps your areas. You might be lucky, but in my area, they're all able-bodied. They only think for themselves. It never used to be like that round here. People used to care and think, but they're always just gossip, sad gossipers, like the twitching of the curtain of what the saying used to go like. Oh, it's the old biddy twitching the curtain again, gossiping about the next door neighbour. Well, I know about how this disinformation about my life and my characters going on yet again. I don't care. I know who I am, and that's what's more important. So go you carry on. Discredit me. Keep making up lies, because you're just going to have to answer to somebody one day. Do you know what? There's a good saying. What goes around will come around, and you're going to have to answer to your maker. So for now, you take care. I will keep going the best way I know how, and honourably and lawfully, but I know who's causing this to me. And those individuals, especially my older brother, who lies and does all sorts of things, and I have evidence of this so long ago. And then when they set up that funeral of my mother, my goodness me, you can't even make that up. I have this evidence of letters she wrote to me, what my older brother was doing to her, and where she ended up and what happened to her. Wherever you are, Mum, your spirit, your soul will always be with me. I know the truth, and that's all that matters. I will not talk about that publicly, but I have the evidence, first-hand knowledge. And when you have the evidence that cannot be rebutted or first-hand, not any other man or woman, whether they're working for a corporation or your own loved family member, be aware, you're not alone. Don't fall for this pagan Christmas. Don't fall for this illusion that you need to spend and have all your family you never get on with just for the festive season. Life is going to get harder on this earth as we know it, much more than you can imagine. Be safe, care for yourself and your loved ones if you're able to. Be aware those that are not waking up are just part of the system designed to be that way. Just learn and try to hold on to your own self. You're not being selfish, by the way. You're just being prepared because you were born for a reason, to go through so much in your life and survive. So I could have easily been killed on the 13th of the 12th, 2002. I don't know how I survived that day, but I am still here to talk to you. Take care. God bless.